in a way, I kind of want some fraud to be revealed.
Oh, this is the craziness I wanted to get into.
Yeah, so I want this to come out because not because of this election per se, but more so for future elections.
Correct.
Because Trump or Biden, I'm kind of like I said, I've pretty much been clear. I'm been somewhat indifferent to whatever. You just make different plans for each one. But yeah, it's just the way I'm looking at it is just there should be ways to, like, for this much shady stuff, even if it was all somehow like not fraud or a lot of it wasn't. I think there needs to be some that needs to be revealed to then make better elections to come.
Yes.
Like to say the U.S. government, when it comes to its many aspects, is when it comes to elections, to how it exerts power, how it runs our lives and such, to say none of it is corrupt or certain parts of it have no corruption or whatever, it's just patently untrue. So I think in an election, of all things, I would like something to come of it so that they can be better at it in the future. Like I've talked to you about we've talked about different voting systems. We've talked about using electronic voting versus paper ballot voting. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff regarding the election that we could get into, but that's separate stuff. But I'd like something to come of it, regardless of the outcome that they do determine. At least I would like the country to learn of how elections can be done better.
I agree. I completely agree with you. And I sent a message to you, our friend Conk, and a couple of the friends I have in the US, where I was very concerned with what I was seeing because of exactly what you said. If the vote means nothing, if the elites can just rig the system and your vote means nothing, that is what brings countries to civil war.
Because this is the whole thing. This can go back to even just candidates and not just this election, but previous elections. Everyone wanted to kind of paint Trump as a whatever kind of guy. Everyone wanted to paint Hillary as this kind of person. And then you find old pictures of them hanging out.
Yeah, they're all friends. They all know each other. They went to school with each other, kind of thing.
You see the kind of people that politicians hang out with, and just high rich people hang out with, and you just look at it all and you go, okay, so they're all kind of friends together. They all know each other. They're all fairly amicable behind the scenes. They're not all just the game. And then you see this election and you see all this play out, and it's like, I don't want to get all conspiratorial, a powerful ruling class against all of us, but at the same time, it kind of paints an interesting picture, and it's like, is all of this? Does the election really matter? Does the vote really matter? This is where some people kind of start to have the logic of, I just don't vote because it's all just this, and I can see that point, but it's like, not that I want corruption to happen, but I want corruption to be revealed.
Yes.
And fraud to be revealed.
Yes.
Not for the sake of fraud, but for the sake of learn to be able to deal with it in the future. So
I completely agree. And so this is my second Alex Jones moment.
Oh boy.
Where I tell you about the watermark from DHS. Now this I don't think there's much to this. I hope it's true, but it's unlikely. Again, I will put the link in the chat if anybody wants to check this out. Did I put the right thing? Yeah, I did. Okay. So there's this video of this CIA former operative or something like that shows up on InfoWars. And he basically says, this entire fiasco is not taking anybody by surprise. Trump knew back in, 2018 that the election was going to be rigged and the Democrats were going to try and cheat. And a lot of people in the intelligence community came forward and basically said, we do not want the Bidens. We know how corrupt they are, this, that, and the other. We know they're going to try and steal the election, everything else and stuff like that. And apparently, between the CIA and the Department of Homeland Security, they have implemented a radio tracking signal in all of the legitimate ballots. Like all of the ballots have been printed by the Department of Homeland Security. And through their consulting companies and so forth, they've sent the ballots to the relevant state. Now, I'm not saying this is true. I'm just saying it's fascinating as fuck. And they say it's all radio tagged with a small watermark, and they can tell the real ballots from the fake ballots. And every system that's out there, they know exactly where it is, where the ballots are, who's got them, what's being tracked, what happened to the ballots, if they were burned or not. They got like an authentic tally, in theory. Again, I'm not saying, I don't know if this is true. This is just super fucking cool. If it's true, this is fantastic. And they say it's all a big sting operation. Trump is just buying time so that the very top, like this will go as far as it has to go. Trump is just pulling back, letting this thing ride as far as it can before he slams the hammer and busts this thing wide open. I love it. I don't know if it's true. I just think it's fucking that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. But yeah, on a more serious note, this is what I foresee happening. So a lot of people don't know what happened with Pennsylvania. Trump was up in Pennsylvania by 800,000 votes. That's miraculously Biden overtook. That's a big ask. So anyway, before the election, they instituted the ballot. They put out the state legislature put out a law about absentee ballots and mail-in ballots, basically stating these are the rules. This is how it's going to work, and the ballots have to be in by 8 p.m. on election day. Right? Any ballots that show up after that are, a null and void. They're not to be counted. That was challenged, and it went to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And the Pennsylvania Supreme Court basically said that this provision has to be altered because of the situation with COVID, and they changed it to once it was postmarked before the day of election, it should be counted. Now, the Republican Party in Pennsylvania, looking at this, petitioned the Supreme Court of the United States on 2 points. One, would you review this ruling of the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania? And two, make it quick because it was like days before the election. So the Supreme Court couldn't make it quick, and they denied the expedition of the hearing. But they gave special instructions to the state of Pennsylvania, basically saying that you have a pending issue of review before the Supreme Court. Any ballot that shows up after 8 p.m. on election day should be separate from all of the ballots received before and should not be included in the count, or if counted, should not be included in the total until the Supreme Court rules. That's the ruling. Now, election day comes around. We see this fucking shit show that, taking place in Pennsylvania. By the time of 8 p.m., Trump was ahead by 800,000 votes. Right? Day two, we see the shit show where that, all of that starts to disappear, where Biden is taking it over, right? Day three, Alito from the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, sends an edict down to the voting house in Pennsylvania and basically says, remember, you are supposed to separate any ballots received after 8 p.m. on election day and not include it in the total. They didn't do it. They didn't do that. So, this is going to the Supreme Court in a couple of days. And if this rules that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court basically legislated, which is what they did, they changed the wording is unambiguous. That means everything that showed up after 8 p.m. on election day is no longer valid. And that will switch Pennsylvania from Biden to Trump. And they called Biden the leader because of the flip in Pennsylvania. That's what's going to happen. Drop mic. And that's it. Biden can't win if he doesn't get Pennsylvania. Well, I mean, he could. If they fake it out everywhere else, it's possible. But I suspect Arizona is going to go to Trump. Pennsylvania will flip. He needs North Carolina.
Right.
And I think he's there. I think he's over the line. I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. Guys, I was really digging it. I have nothing else to fucking do. I'm in lockdown, right? So I've just been going down this fucking rabbit hole. So anybody interested in that, Steve Turley on YouTube, he has a video. That's the one thing I don't have the link for, this is what's going to happen. I think many states might end up with that same issue. We'll see. Because even you said in Minnesota, they changed the law as well, right?
The ruling that came down from the Supreme Court, but it was a circuit court that came down and changed it.
Yeah. So the same
which could mean that my ballot wasn't counted, even though it doesn't matter too much to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So the same thing. If they do the same thing, if the court has interpreted statute and changed it, it's unconstitutional.
I would drink to that, but I'm a little too late right now.
Which